Hi, this is Linda West with Living Life, and today I have the pleasure to introduce you to Katie Lance. Now, today we are going to talk about client attraction, what that is, what it means for you, and how important it is. We're going to talk about an editorial calendar, again, what that is and what it means to you, why you should have one. And then we're going to talk about scaling your business. Now, if this is something that you find that is interesting for somebody that you know, please share this out. Really, really appreciate the shares. Because you know the share bear is a care bear. Care bear is a share bear. So share this out because we really want to help people as much as possible to learn these things, okay? So today, again, I have with me Katie Lance, and she's the founder of Katie Lance Consulting, and she's the author of the Amazon bestselling book, #Get Social Smart. She specializes in working with companies to help develop their social media and content strategy. Her #Get Social Smart Academy has received accolades from industry peers across the globe. Now, Katie has consulted for companies such as Remax International, DocuSign, Realtor.com, Mason Duffy Mortgage, and many, many others. She's also a frequent keynote speaker, a contributor to the Huffington Post, and formerly was the chief strategist for Inman News. So Katie, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here today. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you so much, Linda. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm super excited. Thank you.
I'm hoping that we're going to deliver great value, which I already know we are. And I want to just dive right into it. First of all, when we talk about client attraction, I want to find out first how you got into this type of work that you do.
Good question. So my whole background is marketing and branding. Always just had a passion for that. And then social media kind of came around, I would say a decade or so ago. And first there was MySpace and then Facebook, and it sounds corny, but I just kind of fell in love with it, especially as a marketer. I used to, work for a variety of different companies, and I would see people spend so much money on traditional marketing with newspaper ads, magazine ads, billboards. And I just thought, what an amazing opportunity for businesses large and small. And so I worked at a couple different corporate jobs, and it was about 5 years ago that I decided to take that entrepreneurial leap. I was previously the chief strategist for Inman News, as you mentioned, which is kind of one of the leading companies in the real estate media space, and help grow their social networks. And so I decided to go out on my own, and was really kind of looking forward to that opportunity to work with a lot of different companies and a lot of different brands, and also be able to have that sort of flexibility with my time. I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. I'm married. So there's always that juggle a little bit. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey. We started as just me, myself, and I, and now we have myself, my husband's on board full time. We have a virtual team as well. So it's exciting
So now it's me, myself, and we, right?
Yeah, exactly. It definitely takes a village on so many levels.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to thank William P. Toom is here. He says it's exciting. Thank you for broadcasting. So welcome, William. Glad to see you here. And we have Deuce is here as well. You guys, welcome to the show. If you have any questions while we're here, go ahead and drop them below. Even if you're watching the replay, go ahead and drop the comments below or any questions that you have, so Katie can respond to them later. Okay. So really, any questions you have, I really want to bring them to her attention now while we're live, because I want to get her while we have her, because her schedule is like crazy, right?
Just a little bit. Yeah. It's all good though.
So let's talk about client attraction. So for those who don't understand the concept of it, you want to just kind of briefly go over what client attraction is?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, client attraction is really the idea of attracting the clients that you want to work with. I think especially when you first go out on your own, you kind of say yes to a lot of things. You say yes to a lot of people because you're, at least for me. Yeah, exactly. I think for a lot of us.
Raise your hand if you say yes. And when you first started your business, you're like, I'll just say yes to anybody who's breathing, right?
Exactly. Like, they're going to pay me? Yes, I'll say yes to that.
Yeah, okay. I can't do it, but I'll do it anyway.
Exactly. And so I think as you kind of evolve with your business, you start realizing what you want to do and maybe what you don't want to do. And I remember a long time ago, a mentor of mine said to me, just because you can do something doesn't mean that's what you should be doing, or that's what you should be promoting that you could do. So I remember in the very beginning, I was taking on client projects where I was doing all kinds of marketing things. And I later really kind of realized, really my heart is in social media. And so learning a lot of those sort of led me to this journey of attracting the right kind of clients. And I know we're going to get into more of that.
Well, I want to talk about that because social media, really did change things for marketers. But now the climate is changing again. What do you see as like the future for social media? Do you have any projections like 2-3 years down the line? Like, what are we going to be seeing then? Because MySpace is like almost, it's practically gone. It's like history, right? It's still there, I hear, but I don't know. Nobody's on there. So what do you see for the future for social media?
Yeah, it's evolved quite a bit. MySpace is still hanging out there. It's really a place for musicians. That's where they've kind of found their niche. It's evolved a lot, and it's changed a lot just in the last few years. And I think with everything we're seeing, Facebook's been in the news a lot. There's been a lot of things happening in regards to data and privacy. But I think beyond that, there's a lot of noise. There's more noise than ever before. I always say, I feel like with Facebook, I'm standing on the side of the freeway and just watching the cars fly by. There's so much noise. And so I think a big trend that we're already seeing is this idea of not just posting for the sake of posting, but creating really valuable content that tells the story of what it feels like to work with you. And that's where I think, when you talk about client attraction, that's where there's a big opportunity. It's not about, I got to post to Facebook 3 times a day because I got to stay active. It's really almost like reverse engineering that and thinking about, is it Facebook Live content like you're doing? Is it recorded video content? Is it Instagram story content? Is it all these different kind of storytelling opportunities to tell that story of what it feels like to work with you? And then you're attracting the people you want to work with. So I see that right now, and I think that's only going to increase and get better and better as social media evolves.
Yeah, and I see Facebook Live as being a huge part of that, because you get to actually meet the people as human beings and hear their voices, the inflection in their voice. Whereas text, oh my gosh, how many times have you gotten a text message and thought, that person's mad at me, and they weren't at all. Like, it's just the way their written word is so different. And, I want to point out something that's so funny is right when I was asking you that question was exactly the same time that William said, what do you forecast for the future of these similar technologies? William, we're in tune with each other. That's awesome.
On the same wavelength.
Exactly.
And that's great. You can't do that in a blog post or something that's static, a text. Like this back and forth communication, with live broadcasting, whether it's Facebook Live or whether it's on Twitter with Periscope or Instagram Live, like there's just nothing like it. There's nothing like, watching a Facebook Live and someone live says, hey, Katie, or hey, it's like, they saw me.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm not invisible.
Right. Exactly. That interaction is huge. And we all want to feel connected. I think that's why we all joined social media a decade ago. Whenever we all joined, was just that feeling of connection. And so I think in a lot of ways, it's kind of going back to that of how we can be really connected. And I would also say too, I know it's a buzzword, but authenticity. There's a lot of shortcuts. There's a lot of people buying followers and setting up all these automation things. And automation is not bad, but you can certainly be smarter about it. And there's nothing that replaces that replaces that personal touch. And so that's where I think if business owners can embrace that, it's a huge opportunity.
And I think it's sad that the word authenticity has become a buzzword, because it really is an important, really, really important. It's actually to our core, sharing with others who we truly, honestly are. But it's become like that. Be authentic. And everybody's using it. So it's become like a passe kind of word. So we need to replace it with something else. I don't know.
Exactly.
So now William asked, let's talk best practices and never do's for small business owners and entrepreneurs. Ooh, good one. What do you think?
That's a good question.
Yeah. What never do's?
Goodness. Best practices and never do's. I think some of it kind of goes back to what I said in the beginning. I think in the beginning, there's nothing wrong with saying yes to a lot of people. I always used to say yes and figure it out later, and not shortchanging yourself. I think sometimes we kind of self-doubt and, I don't know. And so in the beginning, it's a lot of, I don't always like this phrase, but sort of fake it till you make it, in terms of just your confidence. And I think the more you put yourself out there, the more you can kind of weed through what works and what doesn't work. I also think, early on, a lot of times it makes sense to have some help. I think sometimes we think we got to do it all ourselves and, I have to get to a certain level before I have an assistant. And, I don't think that's the case. By the time I brought on an assistant, I probably should have done it like a year before.
Right. Exactly.
And, the great thing about our economy and the way things work right now is there's so many great people that you can bring onto your team on a freelance basis. You know, all of our team members are freelancers, they're independent contractors. And so it's really a win-win. You know, a lot of them have other clients or other projects that they work on. They've got, you know, families, other things that they do. And so it's a win-win for both of us. But being able to, at some point, really focus on what it is that you do that really brings value. And then if there's some opportunities to, you know, get some additional help, it makes a big difference.
And it really does, right? Because like you said, I probably could have done it a year prior to, you know, forming your team, because you could have saved yourself some frustration, aggravation, time, money. All those things could have been saved. You could have been building up your brand faster, you know, easier, maybe with people who have the skills that you don't have, but you're like, I should do this myself. You know, so there's so many things.
We don't think we can do it best. It's like, when did we become, you know, the best at everything? We're not.
You know, one of my mentors said, you know, if you can find somebody that can do it 80% as well as you, isn't that good enough? And I'm like, oh, you're totally right.
You know, there's a sign up at Facebook that says done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Totally.
It's like, I need that sign in my office. You know?
Well, mine says wake up, kick gas, and repeat. That's
I like that. I like that.
Well, let's talk about the next thing is the editorial calendar. So what exactly is that? And like, why do I need one?
Yeah. So I think having an editorial calendar is really important. You know, before I went out on my own, I worked for a news organization, and, you know, the news and the media, they kind of live and die by an editorial calendar. Obviously the news changes though. So as much as you can plan out a 12-month editorial calendar, you know, something drastic happens in the news and all of a sudden, you know, the plan goes out the window. But I think it's really important when you think about your social media strategy, not just to think about how often are you going to post or what platforms, but really to kind of take a step back and think about what's your content strategy. Because if there's so much noise and you're not getting traction with your business page on Facebook, or you're not getting traction with social media, a big reason may be because you're not creating original content. And if you're not creating content, it might be because either you're nervous about doing it, or you're not sure what to say or what to do. And when you have a plan, it just makes it so much easier. And so one of the things that we do at the end of every year, I'll sit down with my team and we just brainstorm. We brainstorm all the questions that I get asked all the time. And we just take out those, you know, giant sticky notes, you know, and we just brainstorm. And we've been doing this a while. So we'll also look at like my Google Analytics and see which topics really resonated with people, or my YouTube analytics, or my Facebook analytics, and kind of digest through some of the data. And after we've got this big list of topics, now we can open up a simple calendar, and we just use Google Documents, right? Keep it simple. We've got a simple spreadsheet, and we just plug in every week what that looks like. And for us, we publish a new video every week. And so we look at all of our topics and we kind of, you know, make sure it's a little balanced. So it's not all about one topic 1 month or one topic another. And then what I do is I sit down once a month, and I always say, if I'm going to do my hair and makeup and like do one video, I might as well sit down and do like 4 or 5. And that's what we do. So I've got my calendar. I sit down once a month. I take about an hour and I batch create 4 or 5 videos every single month. And we've got a great video editor on our team because, as you know, I wouldn't say I love video, but I love what the result video does in our business. Right. And being able to have an editor who can help us with that. So we'll send the videos over to them, and they'll get them, you know, all situated, and we'll get them up to social media each week. But it all starts with that editorial calendar. And so brainstorming, thinking about your content, getting a plan of attack, and then scheduling time for when you're going to create that content, whether it is Facebook Live, whether it is recorded video, blog content, whatever that might be, and then getting it out there.
And I think the important thing you said there was, you know, looking back at your analytics, finding out like what was working and what wasn't, and what was not working, dump it. Or, you know, maybe you try to tweak it to see if you can get it to work. And then what is working, you know, pump it up and really keep it going until it stops working, because eventually those things will stop working. You know, like one of my mentors was working on a program for a little over a year, maybe a year and a half. It was amazing, gangbusters for a year and a half. And then all of a sudden it just started dying, doing the same exact thing, but it started dying. So people started becoming stale to people. So now she has to just change things up and find out like what else is working? What can I ramp up? Yeah. So that I think is key. And that's one thing I got to say that I am remiss in, is looking at the past to see like what was working and what wasn't. So thank you so much. That, like, for me, that's like the golden nugget of the day.
Oh, good. It makes a big difference, especially if you've been doing this for a while. You know, I think sometimes we just trust our gut, which is that's important, right? As far as what people want to hear and what you want to talk about and share. But if you have been creating content for a period of time, like looking back, and for me, I think a big learning that I learned is don't just look at your Google Analytics, because that only tells one part of the story. You know, if you're also pretty active on Facebook and you're publishing video or doing Facebook Live, like look at that content, because that content might be a little bit different than maybe the content that you're sending over to your website. And if you're active on YouTube, look at your analytics there. And sometimes you still don't quite know, well, what does that mean? And that's okay. You know, you can kind of take that and go, okay, I think this is getting some traction, and let's just see what happens. Let's put together a plan. But I can just tell you from experience, I have operated with an editorial calendar and without, and it is always better to have a calendar and a plan. It makes the rest of your life so much easier.
I love it. I love it. That's so awesome. Now, do you have people on your team that actually do those analytics for you? Are there people out there like statisticians that do that kind of stuff?
There probably are. I mean, I've got a great marketing coordinator on my team, and you know, I wouldn't say we're huge data people. I'm a big believer in data is important, but you can also sort of get lost in the numbers. And it's like, if you don't look at a data point, look at something that you're actually going to do something with. So, and also don't look at it all the time. I would say probably once a quarter or so, we're like really kind of digging in and looking to see like what's working, what's not working. We have a great web developer too who kind of helps with some of that stuff also. So I'm sure there's probably some statisticians out there that you know, could help also, but yeah.
Awesome. Okay, now I wanted to talk about your book, which is called #GetSocialSmart. And at first I had to look at it. I was like, is it really #GetSocialSmart? And it is.
It is. Yeah.
I love that, having that hashtag in front of it, because, you know, especially like a lot of people even talk in hashtags nowadays. So,
yes, exactly.
So what does this mean? So Get Social Smart, #GetSocialSmart. What is your book about? And I know people can find it on Amazon.
Yeah, so we published the book a year ago, and it was really kind of a culmination of everything I've been teaching when it comes to our clients, and just a lot of the folks that we work with, and culmination of speeches I give and talks we give. And we launched an online academy a couple years ago called Get Social Smart. So the book was kind of just the summation of a lot of what we teach. And the core of it is really to get smarter with social media, because at the end of the day, especially if you're a small business owner or entrepreneur, you shouldn't be on Facebook all day, or you know, I'm in the business of social media and I'm not on social media all day long. So it's really about creating systems to be intentional, to use social media in a way to help build better relationships, to stay in touch with your current clients and customers, and then use it in a smart way to generate new business and generate new leads. And so it's written, some people have told me it's kind of like one of those dummies books, you know, where
good.
You can go right to the section you want to read. So we have this broken up basically by different social media platforms. So if you want to go right to the Snapchat section, or right to the Instagram section, or right to the Facebook ads section. And then at the end, we have a lot of case studies from clients we've worked with and how they've implemented social media and how it's helped their business. So it's just been super fun. It was definitely a labor of love, and it is on Amazon, as you mentioned. It's on paperback, because, you know, as much as I love technology, there's still nothing like a real book where people can flip through and highlight. And there's also a Kindle version on there too. So we're excited about that.
And then go to getsocialsmart.com. Yeah, that will take them to the book.
Yep, they can go to getsocialsmart.com, and that'll give them more information about our online academy, and also information about the book and just the different courses that we have. So, yep.
Now, what I love is the fact that it's like you don't have to read the whole book to get it, you know?
Exactly.
Like you can just go to the section that pertains to you. And I think that's awesome, because it can save people time and just to go to exactly what they're looking for. So that's awesome. I love that idea. Thank you so much for putting that out there. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is scaling a business, because you were telling me how you and your husband, you increased your revenue by more than 30%.
Yes.
So let us in on the deets on that.
Yes. Yeah, it was quite a process. Like I said in the beginning, you know, I started out, it was me, myself, and I, and it was always kind of a goal, my husband and I, to really do this together. And so we were really, really blessed 2 years ago. That opportunity opened up, and he took the leap, quit his corporate job, and we made this our full-time, you know, family company business, which is exciting and a little scary, but exciting. Yeah. I think a big part of it was bringing on the right people at the right time. And, you know, I mentioned bringing in an assistant in the beginning. And what we really started to do is really think about, especially for me, because our company is kind of wrapped up in my name and my brand name of what is it that I do that when I do it, it makes the business flourish. And there's actually a quote from Darren Hardy, who's the publisher of Success Magazine. He has kind of a famous quote. He said, "What do you do that when you do it, it makes it rain in your business?" And I just remember hearing that. I heard him at a conference, and I was like, yes, And so as I think about the different areas of our business, we have kind of slowly brought on other folks who are specifically talented in specific areas that have helped us grow the business. And, I know one thing for us, we've really grown a lot with our email list and getting really smarter with how we think about email marketing. And we switched from using MailChimp, which a lot of, I know, business owners use. I love MailChimp, but we kind of outgrew it in some ways. And so we switched over to Infusionsoft about a year or two ago. And it's funny, a lot of folks call Infusionsoft Confusionsoft.
Confusionsoft, yes.
Because it's super confusing. But we brought on a great gal on our team who, that's her thing. She's a trained Infusionsoft person. And just, just as an example, bring on someone who that's their love, that's their passion. It's not taking away from what we're doing. It's only helping us get smarter. It's like when I talk about my book about getting smarter with social media, it's really about getting smarter with our business. And so bringing on the right people, same thing with having a video editor. I can edit video, but is it really worth my time to do it? Mm-hmm. Right? And so thinking about kind of those pieces of the business. My husband's great at numbers. He's a great finance guy. That kind of stuff makes me want to pull my hair out. So that's his job, right? And so, can
I send mine over to him too?
Yes, exactly. And so it's like the scalability, it doesn't happen overnight. And I remember always thinking I don't know, you hear the number $1 million business, or 7-figure business, and you think, oh, everybody's doing that. But the reality is once you really start down this road, that's a huge number. That is the amount of force and energy to get to that level is it's crazy. And we're not there yet. We're getting there. But what's exciting about that is the growth that we've had. And the other thing I'll just mention real quickly is that to get to the growth that we have, we took a little bit of a dip. And this was probably about 18 months or so ago, because we made actually a pretty big pivot in our business. We kind of scaled back some of the consulting that we were doing and really kind of poured a little bit more into our online courses and our online academy, and really kind of looked to see look, we want a business not just for now, but long term. I want to retire doing this, in 10 or 20 years, whenever that might be. So what does that mean? And so kind of taking a little bit of a pivot. When you pivot a little bit, sometimes that means you take a little bit of a dip, but then it's going to go back up. And this past year was it's like a snowball, right? It just hit the top of the mountain and just flew off the top. So, which is exciting. So that's
I like that. I'm just imagining you running up the mountain and diving off or something.
Yes, exactly. And it really, we really felt it right around Thanksgiving this past year. We had set a pretty modest goal for ourselves. I always try to set a no matter what goal, kind of middle of the road goal. And then oh my gosh, if everything goes right, this will happen. And right around Thanksgiving, we were we had hit that middle goal, and 6 weeks left in the year or whatever it was, we were let's go for it. And that snowball just was rolling, and we ended up hitting our big goal that I had hoped we had hit, but it was awesome. But it didn't happen because of luck. It happened because of all this stuff that had happened 12, 18 months before, if that makes sense.
And I want to address that just really quickly, because a lot of times what happens is when people get to that point, they see it's on the precipice and it's getting ready to, to break.
Yeah,
they get fearful and retract. So let me ask you, first of all, did you have any fear in going forward? And if not, why not?
Okay, oh my gosh, so I totally did.
You had some fear going forward. Yeah. So how did you mentally then break through that and say, wait, okay, check in. This is just fear. Let's keep going and let's see what happens. At what point did you do that? If you did that, how did you deal with it?
No, I had definitely felt that way, especially, as I felt okay, we're about to do something really big. I also felt that way with my book. I took a while to publish the book. I think part of it is I was feeling that, they call it imposter syndrome, sort of that, who am I? Who am I to write this book? Who am I
to
me
a year and a half. How long did it take you?
About that, like almost 2 years. Yeah. And I think I felt the same way when it came to just like hitting this big goal. It was like, oh my gosh, I was really scared to say like, let's go for it, because what if we went for it and it didn't happen? Mm-hmm. And, luckily I do try to really surround myself with a good support system with my husband and my parents and my dear friends and family who are like, you can do this. And like, what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is you go for it and you still had an amazing year. You still hit so many of your other goals. Like, that's not a bad thing. Like, you're doing something that so many people would love to do. So if that's the worst thing that can happen, that's why I just think surrounding yourself with the right people, I think as you kind of reach different levels of, success, whatever success means to you, it's easy to kind of get influenced by other people. And I try to be really careful of, kind of the sacred space of like, who are you letting into your life? Whether that's family, friends, people in your business. And it's important to be really around the right people who are supportive of you. So
true. And not everybody has supportive family members, and that's okay. Yeah. That just means those aren't the ones that you go to in the times that you're trying to break through that barrier, because you really need the supportive people who are going to say, go for it, go for it, go for it. You could do this. You can cross that finish line. You can win victorious, not the people who are going to break you down, because that's, I think, a lot of times what happens is, for some people. But that's awesome. That's so exciting that, you broke through that and you were like, I'm going. We are going. Team, let's go.
Exactly.
So I want to share with everybody that you have a free download. The download is a content grid. So you want to share with everybody what the content grid is. And I have on the screen, they can go to livinglive.tv/Katie, Katie, and you can download her free content grid. So tell us what the content grid is.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's just, it's basically a simple spreadsheet with about 30 ideas of what to post when it comes to content. It's kind of the beginning phases of creating an editorial calendar. So it's a simple spreadsheet. There's about 30 ideas of content ideas that you can use for Facebook, or content ideas as you're thinking about your social media strategy. And then there's some other things in there, like some of my favorite apps for creating content, some of my favorite tools for how I think about content strategy and social media.
That's so needed.
It's really simple.
Because here's what's cool. It's like you have 30 ideas, but then as people are looking at those ideas will spark new ideas. And sometimes if you're anything like me, you just get those blocks, creative blocks, and you just don't know what to do, what to say. I do videos every single day, and I've been doing them every day for 4 years. And,
so
videos. Yeah. So I have those instances where I'm like, oh, what am I going to talk about today? And mine is like, I'm doing them for a purpose. Like there's actually a story behind it. It's not just but I have done random unnecessary videos because I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about today. Oh, I'll talk about, my phone.
That's okay.
Yeah. But I love that. So then you have those ideas that help people to spark new ideas. So download that content planner. It's free download, you guys. So go to livinglive.tv/Katie, download it today, and, use it so that you can create more content, because how important is it, Katie, for people to put themselves out there if they have their own business?
It's vitally important. It's one of the best things. If you're a small business owner, an entrepreneur, one of the best things that you can do is to really pour into creating some valuable content, especially video and especially Facebook Live. I just can't stress that enough. It goes back to what we said in the very beginning. Like, if you want to attract the people that you want to work with, you do that through content marketing, through putting out video and Facebook Live. Because what happens, and you probably experienced this, Linda, when you do this over the course of time, you attract so many great people. People reach out to you saying things like, I've been following you for years. I feel like I know you. And the business just comes to you. And
then you're like, who are you?
Right, exactly. You're like, I don't know you. Right? And then it's up to you to decide if you want to work with them or not. And that's, that's freedom in a lot of ways. So I think it's so powerful.
I love it. So Katie, I want to thank you so much for coming in and talking about all this. Congratulations on your recent success. 30% is humongous. And how exciting is it? What are your plans for this year? Are you going to 200% or something?
I know we're going big. We're just, it's one of those things. It's like, you got to have your yearly goals, but then it's like, you break it down. Like, what do you have to do today? And that's one thing my husband and I really try to focus on every day, like not get hung up in all the busy work, but really thinking about what am I doing today to move the needle forward? What am I doing today to bring revenue in and to hit our monthly goals or our quarterly goals? And so I think just really kind of keeping your eye on the ball is important. So that's what we're doing.
That was great. What am I going to do today? And that's so important, right? And then just stick with it and do it. You guys want to get in contact with Katie, go to katielance.com. I have it up there on the screen. So go to katielance.com, check it out, see what she's all about. Download that content grid, today and get started. If you're not doing social media, you really need to be doing it. If you have a business, especially. And if you are doing social media, you probably need to be doing more of it.
Exactly. Amen.
Okay. Well, everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. And Katie, thanks so much for stopping and stick around for just a second. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.